Good morning. The Buffalo Bills locked up another piece of their core on Saturday. Cornerback Christian Benford signed a 4-year, $76 million extension with the team, becoming the sixth player this offseason to re-sign, joining players like Greg Rousseau and Khalil Shakir. Also over the weekend, yesterday, Bills head coach Sean McDermott and general manager Brandon Beane met with the media ahead of the NFL owners' meetings down in Florida. You can hear what both of them had to say on demand on our website, WGR550.com. You can also find the latest on any Bills news, including that extension for Benford from our own Sal Capaccio on the website as well. The Buffalo Sabres got back in the win column yesterday after losing to the Philadelphia Flyers 7-4 on Saturday. Yesterday, the Sabres beat the Washington Capitals 8-5. Alex Tuch and Tage Thompson both scored twice, while Peyton Krebs, Sam Lafferty, Jack Quinn, and Ryan McLeod added goals as well. Alex Ovechkin also scored in the game, goal number 890, pulling him within 5 goals of breaking Wayne Gretzky's record. The Sabres are back in action tomorrow at 7 o'clock in Ottawa. With the NFL owners' meeting starting up today in Florida, one of the many topics of discussions will be a proposed ban of the Tush Push. The Green Bay Packers initially proposed the ban, but have yet to have a member of the organization comment on it. This is the third year in a row that the NFL Competition Committee has discussed the elimination of the play, but the first time a team has openly called for its removal. All 32 teams in the league will vote on this proposal, as well as all of the other proposals tomorrow. The Final Four of the NCAA men's basketball tournament is set, and for the first time since 2008 and only the second time in its history, all 4 1 seeds have made it to the Final Four. On Saturday, April 5th, Auburn will take on Florida at 6 o'clock, and Duke will tip off against Houston at 8:50. Coverage of the NCAA tournament on WGR and the Bet 1520 is brought to you by Window Nation. For all your window needs, visit windownation.com. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of business. I'm Josh Schmidt for WGR Sports Radio 550.
They can't hear us on YouTube, but good morning. It's raining. It's just raining. And as long as I can remember, the rain's been coming down. Good morning, Jeremy White, Nate Geary. Nate's in for Joe. I'm back after a week. The whole week I was gone, it rained. Still raining. It just rains all day.
Yes, it does.
Hey, March. March's new slogan. One nice day.
Like, almost April.
And April's slogan is, can't help you right now. I was listening and driving in. Good morning. I was listening and driving in on BEN, and Brian Mazurowski, Susan Rose, they ask Andy, hey, so what's the long-term outlook look like? And you could kind of hear his facial expression through the radio. He's like, it's going to be in the 30s, and then the 50s, and then the 30s, and then So anyway, hey, we're all in it together. It's pretty much how it works. We're in it together. It's going to rain. It's going to be cold. It's going to rain. I opened up the 10-day. I mean, it's 55 degrees out right now. That's kind of nice. But I opened up the 10-day forecast on my phone and wanted to throw it. So, hey, here we go. But anyway, good morning, Jeremy and Nate. And Nate's in all week. Joe's on vacation this week. I was off last week. He's off this week. As we get closer to the draft, we'll have Sal live from NFL owners meetings, which is exciting. All the folks that cover the Bills tweeting out pictures from this incredible place. They're not in the rain. They're in Florida, just loving life, wearing Hawaiian shirts.
I told Sal last week to text me if he needs any places to golf. He's like, I don't think I'm going to bring the clubs. I'm like, bring the clubs.
Yes.
Please. And please text me and ask me play. I think I saw, was it John Scott? I know Jay Skursky was out on the golf course somewhere. I want those guys to know out there that if they're not taking advantage of the weather, that you and I are personally going to be sending some very mean-worded text.
Yeah, if you are someplace where you can golf and you are not golfing, I consider that a personal attack.
A personal attack.
That is a personal attack against me and you. It's tough. I played a lot of indoor golf this week.
Too much.
Yeah. I'm into it. It works.
Can never play too much golf, but
That's true. That's true.
I'm just ready for outside.
So we've got owners' meetings in the NFL, and Sal will chime in from those at 7 o'clock this morning. There is tons of news, and that's great. Like we got a juicy day/week because the Bills signed Christian Benford to an extension. Thank
God.
And Brandon Beane openly spoke about the situation with James Cook. We've been on James Cook social media watch to see what he has to say about that. The Bills are having a very good offseason with the extensions. We'll continue to get to that. You've got Beane talking about Cook. We've got the Tush Push. Looks like it might have some momentum to get either banned or voted on to get banned because it has to come out of the competition committee first and then get enough support to get through. So the Tush Push is squarely in everybody's sights. The draft is, of course, getting closer and closer. And lots and lots to get to. So we also have Pete Gwelly of the Bills and Sabres on KeyBank Center renovations and upgrades, PSL numbers, more jersey options, stuff like he's asked those questions. So there's a million things to get to. The Bills and the Sabres, who won yesterday. They beat one of the best teams in the NHL after getting hammered by one of the worst.
Who's hotter right now? Well, what's hotter right now? The PGA? Because, 6 different winners to start the year, 6 first-time winners. Great little, up to the last hole yesterday. Or Jack Quinn, who's got, 6 points in his last 2 games?
I mean...
I love that he's making us all rethink the previous 68 games over the last 2-game stretch. I appreciate it.
Well, maybe you are...
I'm not rethinking it.
Maybe some people are. Who's hotter right now? Who's hotter right now? 1 seeds... Or, the tournament has 4 1 seeds in, so...
Yay.
Yeah.
How fun that is.
Yeah, it's all right. It's fine.
It's fine.
It is what it is. It is what it is. So, where do you want to start? Tush Push, James Cook?
Cook.
Brandon Beane says, among other things, we're on to the draft. I would like to point something out, if I may. Remember, you ever heard a GM in your life say, we don't negotiate through the media?
Sure.
Yeah, you do.
He is.
You just did. Mm-hmm. You just sent a message, a very strong message, because a couple things about this Cook conversation. One, James Cook started it by going public on social media and on podcasts and shows and talking about how he wants $15 million a year. And I don't have any problem with him doing that. Me
either.
He's really good. He's underpaid. He's looking for a contract. Every one of the guys that the Bills just signed to an extension had a year of contract left and signed. And Cook is in the same boat. He has a year left. He wants some assurances. He wants some guarantees. He plays a position that can be a meat grinder, so he wants $15 million a year. Okay, I have no problem with that. And Brandon Beane with Sal yesterday in the sort of media said basically that we're on to the draft. We met. We didn't get anywhere close to a conversation about what we could meet on. And I'm paraphrasing here, but no real progress, nothing to report. Doesn't feel like they're going to be close. We're on to the draft. He even said that we talked with James' representation and then pivoted to the guys we felt we were closer with, which I feel like that's predictable. If you were to rank the players in how likely they would have been extended, I would have listed them in the order that they went. Shakir first, right? Then Bernard, then Rousseau, then Benford, and then Cook, who is the last one and who does not have an extension. So on this timeline, Nate, there's a couple things. That, and the second part of it, and I don't know if you find this interesting or if anybody else out there, you want to chime in on this. Cook is also the one that fans are willing to turn on quickly. The quickest. How many people do you have when this comes up saying, trade him, let him go, play it out, who cares? You do not get that about Terrell Bernard. You do not get that about Benford. You do not get that about Shakir. Cook is the one that the fans, I think, are, maybe you want to say the smart fans or the fans that play GM, they are ready to say, see ya. Not worried about it. So it's not even, I don't want to say it's not controversial, because it is. You've got plenty of fans that want him back, but I've got the GM saying, we're on to the draft, and the Bills are about to play a little bit of hardball with a guy for the first time since Jordan Poyer, who that was about age, and he came back. And before Jordan Poyer, it was who? They don't often get into hardball with their players. They just don't.
No, they don't. In fairness, you said, he doesn't they don't negotiate in public. I agree they do. Everybody does, even if you're not meaning to. They do. It's less about, maybe their desire or ability to. I would say that I think from the beginning that James Cook and his representation, I think probably played the game a little maybe too risky. I don't know. I guess, especially when you consider who James Cook is, which is, I don't know that it's like his whole persona is he's quiet. You don't hear from him. And then, as soon as the season ended, it was, delete the picks, just whatever that plan is now, the rollout plan for players and representatives to say the first thing you should do is delete the pictures on Instagram because that gets everybody on edge. It starts, everybody knows what you're about to do. And I don't know, you watched all the players that got signed, and I'm not here to tell you I think that it's because, James Cook was out in public. Not necessarily James Cook, but he was on Twitter and tweeting, and I don't know that I've ever seen James Cook tweet before. The tweets that came out about him wanting, and the emojis over tweets of guys getting paid, it's, I think it's an interesting way to negotiate the way that they went about it. And I'm not telling you there's a right or wrong way. I'm just here looking at the facts that are laid before me is the guys that just went in and negotiated and didn't make a scene about it, didn't talk about it in the media, all got locked up. James Cook didn't. And I think it's very apparent that we know what the bargaining chip is or where his number is. I'm not sure any of us knew. We could all speculate Christian Benford really wanted $20 million. Right. He didn't get it. Could he have? I think, presumably say yes, he probably could have. To me, it looks like also all four guys, even Josh Allen to an extent, took some level of discount. Right? I think it feels that way.
The discount, it could be, in the case of Josh, definitely, because he's the best quarterback and he's not getting the most money. The other guys, it's a good question. How much of a discount is there? How much momentum are the Bills able to build with these signings? And when you go to a Christian Benford and say, hey, man, you like it here, everybody's coming back,
right?
We're going to try to win this thing. Here's a piece of paper. When you sign this, you're going to get $60 million. You want to do that? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's go.
Am I maybe also applying the... I don't know. Do you have the piece of paper in here when somebody gets signed? You sign them. It's
the flow chart.
Am I inadvertently doing that?
No. But I think it's worth mentioning. This is a credit to the Bills. I'd love to get into a conversation about this. The Bills get a player for a number you're expecting. It comes in lower.
Yeah.
And then it's Beane as a wizard. And I'm kind of half kidding and half serious. Do we think he has some sort of mental game that gets guys to take less? Or is it just we see a team that is the opposite of the Cowboys and the Bengals and teams that wait? If he had waited a year on all of these contracts,
different story.
They are way more expensive because you're paying for guys to not go to other teams when they're in free agent contracts. A franchise tag kind of deal.
You're not negotiating against anyone else.
Not only that, we're also not talking about a player other than Allen who has already gotten $100 million. And he's fine. You're not extending Jamar Chase, where you're not getting a discount there. He has to be paid the most.
Yeah.
So you're paying very good, non-elite, not on the open market players. It's good business for the Bills. Mm-hmm. How much of it is Beane is a wizard, and how much is the Bills have really a smart approach here on how they play the market and how they extend guys that they believe in?
I will say the timing he has used his timing better than a lot of other GMs. Even to an extent, we talk about how great Howie Roseman is. He's got a whole bunch he does this too. He gets in front and gets these contracts signed, gets A.J. Brown in before before Jefferson and before these. Now A.J. Brown's like the 7th highest paid wide receiver in the league. Same with Devontae Smith. He's like the 15th highest paid wide receiver in the league. They've done good and getting very young guys. Now they've got to apply this in the next year or so, because they've got a whole bunch of young players that they've drafted really high in the first round that are all going to be up for contract extensions. And can you keep applying that same standard year over year over year while you're adding void years to other veteran players? It's this really, it's a tug of rope a little bit. It's, give and take and give and take. And I will say, you're watching teams like the Dallas Cowboys become, I think, less relevant because of their inability to retain their talent at a discounted rate.
You get a discount.
They did it with Dak 3 times.
Yeah.
They overpaid him 3 separate times. So, in the Cowboys, I don't know. They've got a top heavy roster. Did they sign their first ever free agent over $12 million per year? Did that happen?
Yes.
Did they sign somebody? Who did they sign?
It was. I think the number was even like $6 million. They hadn't paid a free agent more than $6 per year in a long time.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane. So yeah, the Bills have been able to, I think still maintain a level of aggressiveness in the open market. And I know I did for at least a little while, kind of viewed this offseason as, well, the extensions are in this bucket, and I'm not really going to count them towards the offseason, but how much money they've spent, the players, the quality of players, and the types of players they were able to sort of extend and re-sign, I think you also have to lump in with the players that they've brought in. So, all in all, I mean, I think Benjamin Solak had them as the team with the best offseason. I don't know that I'm going to get there necessarily. I still feel if this roster has a couple of, I think, very glaring holes, that I do suspect that by the end of next month, we're going to have a pretty good idea of if they've got work left to do. But, yeah, I mean, signing the guys they did at the numbers they got them and then filling some holes in free agency, I think it's been a very successful offseason. I just think this offseason, maybe more than previous ones, we're getting a real, I think, close look at how Brandon Beane negotiates these contracts, when, and the importance of the when. I think that to me has been the thing that's most eye-opening. And I think there's a little sense to me, too, that James Cook and his people are almost trying to use his early, approach to their advantage rather than the Bills. Because if you look at James Cook, outside of his unbelievable touchdown year this year, he's had combined 4 touchdowns the previous 2 years. Mm-hmm. The Bills might say, this feels more like an outlier to us than you're saying this is our new normal. And I think if that's a place where you're going to start your standoff, that's probably where it's starting.
That's probably right. And with the other guys like Benford, Rousseau, Shakir, I mean, how many great years?
Multiple seasons.
Maybe. Shakir's got a year and a half.
Shakir's been consistently kind of going upward.
But he's also not asking for that much money.
No.
He gets a reasonable deal. Benford, I think, is interesting for this, too, because, if you think back to whatever week it is that All-Pro comes out and Pro Bowl and Defensive Player of the Year, and you think Christian Benford is being underappreciated, now's the time to be glad about that.
Yes, that's
because
right.
it saved you $6 million a year.
Probably.
Like if you made first team All-Pro, you're not getting
different story.
So yeah. Benford, we all know, is really good. Benford doesn't have the accolades. Same with Rousseau. We think he's pretty good. He doesn't have this monstrous list of accomplishments. And Shakir is the same. With Cook, he has at least 1 year of, did you watch the league? It was Saquon Barkley and me on touchdowns.
Yeah.
And his touchdowns, here's another point about Cook. Like you may say the year before, he had 4 total touchdowns. This year, how many goal line carries did he get? How many inside the 5?
A lot more than he previously did.
But Cook's average length of touchdown, I believe, was second to Barkley.
He had like 3 or 4 really long touchdowns.
He carried the ball from distance.
But he also did see more inside the 5-yard line carries that he basically wasn't ever used in the red zone. He was a between the 20s back his first 2 seasons.
Yep.
He started to finally see red zone touches. And listen, I mean, if we want to break down the touchdowns, I don't know that there's a lot of value in trying to sparse out, just how he had a couple of big, long touchdown runs. He was their best big play threat last year, most consistent big play threat. I mean, he basically had a 20-plus yard run every game. He was one of the best 20-plus yard running backs in the league. Bigger plays than just about anybody in football. Him and Saquon, it wasn't just touchdowns with him and Saquon. It was big plays. He was the one guy in the offense that I think you looked at and said, all right, if we need a home run, he's the guy that's getting us the home run.
Mm-hmm. He had a 65-yard touchdown against the Chiefs.
And then I think a 50-yard against the Dolphins.
He had a bunch.
He had a bunch of big runs.
He had a great year.
Yes, he did.
What's the best case scenario?
He uses that year to
do it again?
To maximize it? Yeah, to do it again.
Then you sign him to top 5 money? Or then you let him go?
I think you have to let him go.
8030550. Give us the best case scenario on James Cook. What's your best case scenario for the way you want to see the Bills run? What's the best case scenario? Joe Brady certainly likes him a lot.
He does.
They lean more into the run game, and Cook is the guy that carries the ball the most. He's the most explosive by far, that's for sure. I mean, Johnson and Ray Davis are both pretty good, but I don't think there's any doubting that Cook is the best of the three. What's the best case scenario? What should they be doing? Because it sounds like they're willing to play the game a little bit here, with Beane saying we're on to the draft. So you can give us a call on that, 8030550 on Cook. The reason I mentioned the 65-yard touchdown run against the Chiefs is this is a franchise that at times has focused on, all right, we need that one piece that's going to get us over the top against the Chiefs. That's Von Miller, right? We need a closer. We need somebody to get to the quarterback. I don't think that they've really changed their approach, Nate, when the Eagles go out and beat the Chiefs. The Bills don't watch that and say, like, oh, invest in the defensive line. Like, they've been doing that for a while. So I don't think that's news to them. But this offense without Cook, because if they say we're on to the draft, he does still have, and this is the key to me, I'm sorry it took me 21 minutes to get to this, he has a huge piece of leverage, which is he can just sit. Because there's a very key difference on a rookie deal. If you sit and you don't show up, those fines can be rescinded or waived. That's not true on other contracts. If you're on your second contract and you hold out, those fines cannot be waived. You're a rookie, he can skip all of OTAs. He can skip all of training camp. He can show up week 10. Anywhere along the way, he can decide to make it more difficult for them by saying, I'm not going to play. And I know these fines are racking up, but it's funny money because the moment I come back, you're going to waive those, and that's part of it. So he could make it uglier, and he does have that chip to play.
But they don't have to waive them.
They don't, but if they don't waive him, then he's never coming back.
Maybe, that's probably right.
And then the conversation is, could this get so far down the road that James Cook has never played it down, will never play another down for the Bills, which to me, that sounds nuts. They talked about him in a very glowing light. McDermott saying that he is laser focused. Like once you get to that level of mental commitment, I feel like you're in McDermott's inner circle. And I think a lot of guys end up getting there, even guys that end up leaving and it might go sour. Like my guess is along the way, over the course of his career, McDermott was very much on Diggs' side because this guy is intense. And I need guys that care and are intense. And that's James Cook. He talked about Cook at the end of season presser in the Chief game being so locked in and so ready. And one of the big conversations about that game, the AFC Championship, is why this guy wasn't on the field. Mm-hmm. And now we're almost ready to say, like, well, what if he's not on the field at all for the whole season? Okay. I just wonder how much Cook is willing to do, how far he's willing to go. Of course, OTAs. Like that's if you're his agent, that's an easy one. Like skip OTAs.
Yep.
Skip OTAs. Skip camp. A week. 2 weeks. Make a point. I don't know how far he'll go. We'll get some calls in on this. Scott in Cheektowaga is going to lead us off this morning. Hey, Scott, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Great.
My best case scenario is that we sign him for half the money he's asking for, have him play it out for a year, and call it a day. I think that the reason for his increased production last year is a philosophical system/game plan approach to last year versus years past. And any back that is a first through third round talent could probably come in and produce about 65 to 75% of those numbers and not have to put up those kinds of dollars up front. I think that position is way easily replaceable.
Oh, sorry, Scott. You keep going.
No, it's all right.
Keep going. Oh, he hung up. Okay, I was going to let him keep going. 65% doesn't sound too good to me, though. If you told me they drafted a third rounder and he gave him 65%, so now I have a 35% drop-off in production from my top back, like that's not good enough. The thing I'll say, I don't think you're wrong, though. I mean, I tend to agree about, guys can just come in and do that. The Bills have been spending picks on running backs like it's going out of style, even though here we are talking about whether or not they should pay one. They've drafted 2 in the second.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
1 in the second.
1 in the second, 2 in the third. Spend another one on Nyheim Hines. Like, they've been chasing running back for a while.
But never really. Here's the thing, though, is the next time that Brandon Beane signs a second contract to a running back will be the first time.
Yes, that's right. I mean, McCoy got money when he got here.
Yeah.
But that's not the same kind of thing. Like, they're trying to establish a culture, blah, blah, blah. The thing I would say about everything you just said about Cook, about how the system is designed, everything about that is true about Shakir. Shakir is a good player and flourishes in this offense in a large part because he gets manufactured touches and good looks. And you could make the case to me that you could have saved that money and had somebody else get those manufactured looks. And, I think Shakir is very good, but he does not play a position where it's viewed as completely replaceable the way that Cook is sometimes, viewed that way because he plays running back. Thanks, Scott, for the phone call. 803-0550, owners meetings, the Tush Push. Could they ban the Tush Push? You got 2 in this room that say, let's hope so. I'll take on all comers ready to talk about the league like it's soft if they get rid of the Tush Push. Goodbye, Tush Push. Can't wait for it to go away. So that might get some more traction. Appears like it is. We'll talk with Sal from owners meetings at 7 o'clock. Lots to catch up on Bills and Sabres COO Pete Gwelly, what he had to say, on McDermott, on Beane, on the James Cook. I mean, it's not a saga yet, but it's very much...
The way you're speaking, I didn't consider it a saga until you kind of planted that idea in my head that it could be.
They just waive the fines, which means he can sit.
Yeah.
It's out there. It's there for him if he wants that. 803-0550, 1-888-550-2550. Join us, Jeremy and Nate. He's in for Joe. Jeremy and Joe here on WGR. Jeremy White here for Riverfront Auto Sales. 1379 Niagara Street in Buffalo. If you're thinking about that next pre-owned vehicle, why not Riverfront? Riverfront is about pre-owned vehicles. That's going to save you lots of money, tens of thousands of dollars. Riverfront's been around for 45 years, family business. And when you go there, you buy vehicle X, it's 3 years old. Instead of buying it brand new, you buy it 3 years old from Riverfront. In some cases, 2 years old. We just bought a car that's under factory warranty. How much are you saving on that? $20,000 the way that car prices are going? So save tens of thousands by going to Riverfront and buying pre-owned because you're buying wiser, sometimes 30%, 50% off the price. And then at Riverfront Auto Sales, you can also continue to double your tax refund. The promotion goes up to $2,000. $500 gets you $1,000. $1,000 gets you $2,000 towards any vehicle on the lot. Plus, Riverfront has guaranteed credit approval. No matter your situation, they will work with you. Visit riverfrontautosales.com today, or visit them at 1379 Niagara Street in Buffalo. 886-1626. Tell them Jeremy White sent you. It's Riverfront Auto Sales, 886-1626.
The Bills get another big extension done over the weekend, signing Christian Benford to a 4-year, $76 million extension. He becomes the sixth player this offseason to re-sign with the Bills, joining players like Greg Rousseau and Khalil Shakir. Also over the weekend, Bills head coach Sean McDermott and general manager Brandon Beane met with the media at the NFL owners' meetings down in Florida. You can hear all of what they had to say on demand on our website, WGR550.com. You can also read the latest on any Bills news from our own Sal Capaccio on the website as well. Sabres get back in the win column yesterday, beating the Washington Capitals 8-5. Alex Tuch and Tage Thompson both scored twice, while Peyton Krebs, Sam Lafferty, Jack Quinn, and Ryan McLeod all added goals as well. And Alex Ovechkin scores goal 890 yesterday, putting him within 5 goals of Wayne Gretzky's record. NFL owners' meetings start up in Florida, down in Florida today. All 32 teams in the league will vote on new rule proposals tomorrow, including the potential ban of a tush push brought forward by the Green Bay Packers. And the Final Four of the NCAA basketball tournament is set for the first time since 2008 and only the second time in its history. All 4 seeds have made all 4 1 seeds have made the Final Four. Saturday, April 5th, Auburn will take on Florida at 6 o'clock, and Duke will tip off against Houston at 8:50. Coverage of the NCAA championship tournament on WGR and the Bet 1520 is brought to you by Window Nation. For all your window needs, visit windownation.com. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet sports headlines. Paddock Chevrolet, celebrating 90 years of business.
JJ gets it back again. Now to the goal line. Zucker, far side. Thompson scores! Logan Thompson got a piece of it, but Tage Thompson got more of it, and the Sabres extend their goal total now up 5-3. It's a power play goal here in the third.
Dan Dunleavy on the call. One of the first moments of the game. For the moments in your life, go forth to Firth. Firth Jewelers. Sabres win 8-5, beating the Capitals. Alex Ovechkin did score a goal along the way as his great chase continues. Sabres win, playing out the string here, closing out the season, and they will next play, the Sabres will, the Ottawa Senators in Ottawa tomorrow. Ottawa well on their way to the playoffs. Oh, sorry, they were playing a Bills clip there after. All right, well, I guess we're not. Well, hey. Good morning.
And I'm just here. I was just like, okay, yeah. I mean, I guess they normally do long silences on the show.
I'm rusty. That's on me. Sometimes we'll play a Sabres clip and then, get it back to the Bills. And I told Josh there, I told him, the Sabres clip is fine. And then I just acted like I didn't say that.
Well, you've had a week off.
I have had a week off.
Yeah.
I had a week off. I was home the whole week. It rained the whole week.
The whole week.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's fine. No big complaints. I listen to you and Joe a lot. I got a lot of problems with you two. No. So there were some things said. Over the week, I was pushed to the limit. Yeah,
nice.
It was one after the other. I read Tim Graham from The Athletic, the great Tim Graham. About could the Bills draft a tight end?
You sent that to me.
I had to do breathing exercises.
You sent that to me, and first of all, it made me irate. But then I knew for sure you were just in the lab. Like you were probably in front of your microphone. Like you were doing some mock shows. Yeah.
And again, like
the Friday show after the first round, the Bills draft the Penn State tight end.
Just good night.
Yeah.
Good night. A tight end. Get nothing wrong with writing the piece, but I would have a reaction to that.
Yeah. We would all have reactions.
803-0550. It's Jeremy and Joe. Nate's in for Joe this week. Happy Monday. We'll talk with Sal coming up from owners' meetings, top of the hour. So the tush push, it looks like there's movement here. It's been slow and very small, kind of like a tush push, like that.
Nice.
Warren Sharp had a note that is interesting about the tush push, that there was maybe some really emotional exchange between a few principal members of the competition committee. Yeah, because McDermott's on the competition committee. And he wrote, I didn't see this on ESPN, but Warren Sharp caught this. The proposal to ban the tush push has support within the competition committee. During the football operations Sunday session, Howie Roseman, assistant GM John Ferrari, also a Philly, had an animated conversation with Sean McVay and Sean McDermott in a side hallway outside the ballroom. And after the meeting, Cowboys co-owner Stephen Jones said, "We don't allow pushing, and we're trying to be consistent with our rules." So I don't know if that necessarily is true. There are some places you are allowed to, whatever. Animated conversation with McVay and McDermott between Howie Roseman and their assistant GM.
And I assume it's McDermott pushing the anti-push.
He wants it banned.
Yeah, he wants it banned.
He wants it banned.
I kind of like, I almost love McDermott's position on this, which is, I don't like this. So you know what? I'm just going to do it. We're going to be the second best team in the league that does this.
Yeah, doesn't McDermott have the best leg to stand on?
100%.
We're good at it,
and we don't want it.
And I think it's bad for the game.
Yeah.
He cites injury concerns, and I'm not sure how much you can stand on with injury concerns.
Because I'm not sure we have any real examples of them.
Yeah, like you do get a chance.
Injury potential, I guess.
The Washington player that tried to jump the line 3 times. I am with everybody that says, I think it's stupid. We used to just do quarterback sneaks.
Yeah.
They worked.
They do work.
Tom Brady was 59 of 60 and never needed to get pushed from behind.
Yep.
So everything would just be the same, except it used to be you could not push the player, and now the NFL would say, like, oh, yeah, by the way, you can't push that guy. You can still, Philly, and your big, tough, nasty offensive line, you can still snap that ball. Mm-hmm. You can still tweet out how much Jalen Hurts squats. Have him run it himself.
Yeah.
Do it yourself. Don't have somebody push you from behind. So that's my plan. That's what I would do. I think the play is stupid. We're in the perfect window to change it. One,
we definitely are in the perfect window.
The team that does it, you won.
Yep,
you won.
Now we can be done.
Now we'll end that play. You won the whole thing. Congratulations. You can even go ahead and tell people they made it illegal because we were afraid you're going to win too many.
Yep.
Who cares? Do what you want.
Yep.
Number 2, McDermott, one of the teams that's the best at it, says, I also want it gone. And there was a very interesting quote, too, from Nick Sirianni, which I guess I should double-check that it's real.
Yeah, probably.
About how 3 coaches in the league have jobs because of the tush push. He's expecting those votes, Jonathan Gannon, Shane Steichen, and Kellen Moore. To which I would say if that's how those guys got those jobs, then they should probably not have those jobs.
Yeah, the way, that's a real quote. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that's a real quote.
Just because you know Nick Sirianni?
That's a real quote.
That's a real quote. Well, whatever. I'm good with it, getting it out. I don't have any interest in it. You want Josh Allen to sneak it? Sneak it. Great.
Yeah.
The play highlights how difficult it is to stop the ball. The play asks officials to make an impossible call on forward progress.
Listen, as a Notre Dame fan, I think it should be banned. Reggie Bush did to Matt Leinart and ruined a year of my childhood.
Of course, that year, what year was that?
2007.
Okay, so in 2007, it was illegal in the NFL.
Yeah.
Because the story was, oh, wow, Reggie Bush could do that, but he couldn't do that in the NFL. You could only do that in college. That's legal in college. That's not legal in the NFL. It's one of those things where this has not always been allowed. It's just they started doing it. It came off of the books. And now the league might want to put it back on. And I say, let's go. Go for it. Ricky in Toronto on the Tush Push. Hey, Ricky, what's up?
How are you guys doing? Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
I just want to say, I can't remember what game it was, but the Eagles had first and goal, and the team went offside a couple of times, if I remember correctly. And then they said if they went offside again, that there would be an automatic touchdown.
Yeah, it was Washington, and it was the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Could that have something to do with the NFL committee changing the rule? Because I didn't know about that. I don't know if anybody else did. But that's all I have to say. I'll hang up and listen to you guys.
Thanks, Ricky. It was definitely Washington. It was the NFC Championship game, right?
And I would say that what it signifies, I think, is full exhaustion from the league. Is even the officials and by the way, that's a rule for sure? Is that a rule?
That you can award points?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Is it any different than when Bills fans are throwing snowballs and they say we could get you with a 15-yard penalty?
Or is it any different?
I'm pretty sure the rules do not indicate that you can. You just say that a bunch of times, so eventually it stops.
Or is it any different than the kickoff in Houston in the playoffs where all of a sudden we found out a guy can come off the sidelines and overturn a call?
Yeah.
Sometimes, the shadow league sometimes makes its decisions, but no, That to me was I was almost like, I'm finally glad someone did this. Like, I think Washington kind of made a mockery of it, and I think someone needed to make a mockery of it to have the conversation really start. Because, I mean, I don't know, like at that point, it's like, why wouldn't teams just do that from now on? It's almost become kind of a joke, the play, to be honest.
I have no problem with them exploiting and finding this thing that they're too good at, and then it's the job of a league to say, is this good for us? I mean, baseball outlawing the shift. Like, you know what? Hey, good job, everybody.
They'll find another loophole. Right. I mean, teams will find loopholes to do what they need to do. And, like, to me, here's what I do. This is what I like about the Tush Push. Here's what I think I actually like about it. It's a primary reason the league has become more aggressive on fourth downs. What I hope that doesn't happen is now on 4th and 1 on the 39-yard line, teams start punting the ball more. Because I don't think it will. I don't think it'll change the Bills' mindset very much. I don't think it'll change the Eagles' mindset very much. But I will give it as a very contributing factor to the league finally realizing that going for it and 4th down can be done.
It's a big part of it.
Yeah.
I
mean, the Bills were one of the more aggressive teams. On 4th and short, it really doesn't feel like 4th and short to the Bills or the Eagles.
Right, the Bills run it the second most.
Yeah. And I would think they're the second best team at it.
Except the AFC Championship game, it did not go well somehow.
What happened?
How about that? That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
803-0550. Okay, I have another example, by the way, when we get back. If you want to give a call, we got time for you. When we get back, there's an exploitation of a rule that has just happened in the NBA. To me, this is a great example of like, hey, someone has discovered how to do something. Do you tip your hat or do you say, buddy, we're not going to be, sorry, rules, we're not going to be doing that. Hold on, Nate, let me get you the phrase for this.
Sure.
This is known as the illegal substitution, the continuous substitution strategy. An NBA team came up with the continuous substitution strategy to thwart one star. Tell you who that is and what it is.
Sounds like I'm going to hate it.
Yeah. right, good morning, Jeremy and Nate. It's getting light out there, kind of slowly. That's how it goes. Forecast today, 50 and rain. The rain will continue until morale improves. So went the break teasing a story from the NBA that I want to apply to the Tush Push, which is getting lots of conversation at owners' meetings. We're going to have Sal on from owners' meetings at the top of the hour, continue to talk James Cook, Bills, all that good stuff. But in the NBA, there was a story/situation that I'd like to bring up to point out that sometimes just because a rule's not on the books doesn't mean that teams don't enforce it or the league shouldn't get ahead of it. The Oklahoma City Thunder played a game against Denver, and their head coach decided they had a good idea for a strategy to stall Denver and Nikola Jokic. And what they did, the permanent sub plan. They did get dinged for a delay of game for doing this, even though there's no rule on the books. What happened was they put a sub in, but never subbed him in. So one of the things that Jokic does so well is he takes inbounds and he catches. I mean, he's
just
unbelievable.
Throws it down.
He's like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes quarterback. He can wing the ball wherever he wants. And he moves the ball so quickly on inbounds plays that what Oklahoma City did was decide to slow the game down by having a bench player stand at the scorer's table, acting as if they were going to check into the game. Dylan Jones was the permanent sub. So he played a game for the G League earlier in the day and was called in as a prop. You stand here, and the officials will probably slow things down to see if you're going to sub in or not. And you never actually do sub in, so you slow down the inbounds, you slow down the game, and you slow down Jokic. Mission accomplished. They got dinged for a delay of game because in the rule books there's something about like any delaying of the game, but there's no rule against this permanent stuff.
Well, what happens when you get a delay of game?
I think it's a technical foul and some free throws.
Okay,
but
I mean if it's free throws, then yeah.
The coach said the officials are the ones in charge of pace of how fast the ball gets inbounded. This is the coach. Jokic is savvy. If I was coaching Jokic, I'd appreciate him doing this, but he gets the ball very quickly and starts the fast break. The officials start the fast break for him because he demands the ball, and they hand it to him, and he zips it up the floor. So, permanent sub. We figured it out. Now, if every team started to do that, and it was legal, what would we say? Like, this
doesn't feel great.
It doesn't feel like a good idea to just allow a guy to pretend to sub in for the whole game. Would you be soft? Oh, you're soft because you want to change this rule? Like people that want to say banning the tush push is soft. Like, you have something that works. It's not against the rules. It's a league that steps in and says, buddy, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, we're not going to do this.
So I found it super interesting. Credit to the coach. Good idea. Not allowed anymore.
Yeah. Nice try.
I feel like if you do something and then it gets outlawed, then Rob Ray with the Rob Ray fight strap, like, hey, great job. We're not going to allow that.
That's enough.
We got to stop.
Yeah.
We got to put a stop to that.
That's enough.
All right, Jeff in Rochester. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, guys, if you can't get a yard in the world to where they're now moving down spotting to electronic to determine whether it's a first down instead of two geriatric men and Uncle Gene in New York to identify whether it's a first down or not, like, this is already going to solve itself. Like, the electric first down, if you can't get a yard, don't bother. Like,
well, Jeff, let me clear something up. They are not spotting the ball electrically. They are measuring it electrically. So the two geriatrics that you say, that's the same. That is not changing. It's one of the things that this NFL offseason has been fascinating to me, the number of NFL insiders that have treated this story with a headline like, finally, major change is coming. It is not a major change. The same process of putting the ball in a spot, that's what puts the ball in a spot. The difference is, instead of running on the field with chains, they shoot the line. But every issue you already had with spotting the ball still exists, has had no change to it. So I don't know that has anything to do with the momentum to change this, because to my eye, there's not been a major change to the way they're doing first downs. Sal joins us on the other side as he is on the way from NFL owners meetings live from West Palm Beach, Florida with Sal. It's brought to you by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. Visit windownation.com. His thoughts on all this, the Tush Push, James Cook, the Benford extensions, all coming up here on WGR. Jeremy White here for FanDuel Sportsbook, official partner of WGR. FanDuel is the best place to bet on sports. There's an absolutely loaded calendar coming up this month, this weekend. Basketball, baseball, hockey, any other sport. Check out some of their exclusive promotions. There's Dinger Tuesdays, Hump Day parlays, golf profit boost tokens for the weekends. I love to hit the golf events. So whether you're betting, local team, if you're parlaying together your baseball team, Yankees and Sabres, new customers to FanDuel can get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/white and make every moment more with FanDuel. Again, $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet, and all those promotions each and every week. Dinger Tuesday, Hump Day Parlay, and Golf Profit Boost tokens on the weekends. 21 plus and physically present in New York. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com for help with a gambling problem. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Good morning. The Buffalo Bills locked up a piece of their core for the future on Saturday. Cornerback Christian Benford signs a 4-year, $76 million extension with the team. He becomes the sixth player this offseason to re-sign with the Bills, joining players like Greg Rousseau and Khalil Shakir. Also, over the weekend, Bills head coach Sean McDermott and general manager Brandon Beane met with the media ahead of NFL owner meeting down in Florida. You can hear what both of them had to say on demand on our website, WGR550.com, and you can find the latest of any Bills news from our own Sal Capaccio on the website as well. The Buffalo Sabres got back in the win column yesterday after losing to the Philadelphia Flyers 7-4 on Saturday. Yesterday, the Sabres beat the Capitals 8-5. Alex Tuch and Tage Thompson both scored twice, while Peyton Krebs, Sam Lafferty, Jack Quinn, and Ryan McLeod all added goals as well. Alex Ovechkin also scored goal number 890 yesterday. That puts him within 5 goals of breaking Wayne Gretzky's record. Sabres are back in action tomorrow at 7 o'clock in Ottawa. With the NFL owners meeting starting up today in Florida, one of the main topics of discussion that'll be a proposed ban of the Tush Push. The Green Bay Packers initially proposed the ban, but have yet to have a member of the organization comment on it. This is the third year in a row that the competition committee has discussed elimination of the play, but it's the first time that a team has openly called for its removal. All 32 teams in the league will vote on this proposal as well as other proposals tomorrow. And the Final Four for the NCAA men's basketball tournament is set, and for the first time since 2008 and only the second time in its history, all 4 number 1 seeds have made it to the Final Four. On Saturday, April 5th, Auburn will take on Florida at 6 o'clock, and Duke will tip off against Houston at 8:50. Coverage of the NCAA championship tournament on WGR and the Bet 1520 is brought to you by Window Nation. For all of your window needs, visit windownation.com. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of business. I'm Josh Schmidt for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Just like I said to Indy, I love Jimbo, proud of his success, just like these other guys that we got extended. And I don't talk about negotiations. I would say his reps and him put it out there that we did talk, so I'm not sharing anything new. It didn't lead to anything as far as closing in on a deal. And so we moved on to the guys that we were more on the same page with. You know, at this point, Sal, we're on to the draft. You know, once we got Benford done, I don't see us doing any deals anytime soon. We're going to focus on the draft and getting our cap in order, planning for how we cut the 53 down. But again, just because we don't have James signed today doesn't mean next year we still can't get him done.
Bills GM Brandon Beane. I mean, we're on to the draft is one way of saying, you know, hey, it's not top of mind. No reason we can't get him done next year. Whoa, you just moved the timeline a lot.
Yep.
Jeremy Joe's out this week.
Sure did.
Nate Geary is in. Back-to-back weeks for Nate. Getting lots of Nate this week. Sal Capaccio is at owners' meetings live from West Palm Beach, and we'll bring him in. His appearance brought to you by Window Nation. Perfect fit for your home and wallet. Visit windownation.com as WGR's coverage of the NFL owners' meetings are brought to you by Window Nation. Hey, Sal, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Do you have nice weather, Sal? Because it only rains here now, and I just want to hear that the sun exists still. Is it out?
Actually, yesterday was pretty overcast and rainy most of the day here, but today,
good.
I got to be honest with you guys. I just rolled up here at the Breakers, coming over to the media area, and there is not a cloud in the sky, and the palm trees are calm.
The birds in the background really irked me. I'm not going to lie.
You like that?
Hey, I heard birds today. Here, I heard birds, but they're complaining about the rain. All right, Sal, so we played the clip. We've got lots to get to. You had a chance to speak with Pete Gwelly of the Sabres and Bills COO, so we've got so much to catch up on, the Benford extension.
Yep.
But it feels like the Cook news is maybe the big news. Brandon Beane effectively saying, I'm not telling you anything that's new, but that clip right there where he says there's no reason we can't do it next year, I don't know, Sal. That's a pretty heavy fast forward on that deal.
Yeah, for sure. I think that those words are a bit jarring when you hear it because it gets you to, okay, there's nothing happening this year. But then and further and says he doesn't expect a contract anytime soon. Those are his words. Anytime soon. You know, you guys talked about it. He basically, here's how it went. He said that they had talk with James's representatives earlier this offseason. When it became apparent that they weren't going to strike a deal, they pivoted to the players where it was more likely to strike a deal, and then we know that happened with Christian Benford eventually, Will Shakir, with Greg Rousseau, with Terrell Bernard. Now, I do want to point out here, one of the things when he says next year, let's remember, the Bills do have a franchise tag in their back pocket if they want to pull that lever. So Bills still have control over James Cook in some capacity. It doesn't automatically mean that he plays out the final year of his deal. He's going to be free agent and he's going to walk. There are different things here that can happen. And they could also re-sign him at the end of next year, which is right. But it is, I think, the Bills have things at their disposal to make sure they keep him under contract with them.
Franchise tag, I think right now it's $13 million. It's one of the reasons like his ask of $15 is way big, and next year it might go up a little bit more. They have not used the franchise tag, correct? This group, last guy to get it was who?
Cordy Glenn, I believe.
Cordy Glenn. Okay. So
they just used that to trade him, too.
Yeah, and one of the reasons they don't use the franchise tag, Sal, this kind of gets to the Benford conversation. The Bills are being given a lot of credit, and I think justifiably so. They're usually out in front, right? Maybe even to a fault, you want to say. They extended Dawson Knox, and maybe that was a little bit aggressive. But the point is, the Bills are often getting ahead of these timelines. I'm thinking about Brandon Ayuk and what happened in San Francisco last year and how they're maybe in trouble now with that. The Bills don't really often get to these contentious negotiations or these hardball spots like they might be getting into with Cook.
No, I agree with that. And you could also, though, there's a backfire to that sometimes, which is, did you pay a guy too early? Yeah. He didn't perform. Some people could say that you did that with Tyler Bass. You did that with Ed Oliver.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could debate those things. But there is the danger in that. I think we see that with the Sabres right now in some capacity, where it's great to identify your stars and lock them up. And if they continue to perform, boy, you did a great job. But if you also lock that player up and they don't perform, have had to pay for down the road. The other part of this, where when you use the word contentious, Jeremy, is it's kind of only like that or perceived to be like that right now, or getting there at least, because it's been public by James Cook, right? Because otherwise, I mean, let's be honest, did anybody ever use that word about Christian Benford? We thought, well, what does Benford want? Contentious? We don't know. We haven't heard from Benford. We haven't heard from Beane. In this scenario, which is very different than anything we've gone through with the Bills before, we have one side saying, this is what I want.
Yeah. The other part of that, though, if let's say Cook had not said anything, and we still get yesterday from Beane where he says, we'll see next year. I mean, then we just kind of get to know that the two sides are far enough apart to be in that spot. But, Sal, overall, it's Benford, Rousseau, Shakir, and Bernard, right? So I've got all the other pieces except for Cook that the Bills have finished the job on. Do you feel like the Bills are identifying, or at least whatever, starting the launching point here of this is your next core? I mean, to lock up 4 guys on extension in one offseason is some pretty hefty work.
Oh, I think a couple things have happened here, guys. 100%, Jeremy. That's exactly what happened. We actually asked Brandon Beane about that a little bit.
And we're losing Sal.
I said, you got me okay?
Yeah, go ahead, yep.
Okay. I said, in fact, I asked him yesterday that not only that, Jeremy, but if you go back a year ago and you take us through all the guys they had to move on from, how much did these extensions play a part in the decision-making from a year ago? And he basically said yes. He said his answer was his job is twofold, to win now and to win tomorrow. And by tomorrow, that means long-term and even longer term, right? In this case, a year down the road. They made a lot of the moves they made last year knowing they identified a certain core and wanted to lock it up. That being said, that core still has to perform. They could identify Terrell Bernard all they want, but if he goes out there and doesn't have the year that they expect, that becomes a different scenario. But last year, they started planning for what they did this year with this core. The other thing is, I think it's very interesting that all of these guys who are talking about getting extensions expire in the exact same year. What they've done here is, this is 5 years from now. So they have 4-year extensions for all these players we mentioned. That's this year and 4 more years. I think what they've clearly done here, and I don't think the Bills would ever say this specifically like this, but I'll say it because I think it's what it is. They are trying to win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years. That's where they have Josh Allen in his prime. That's what this is.
Yeah.
They're identifying this group that for the next 5 years, we need to try and win at least one Super Bowl, but we need to win a Super Bowl because that's what Josh Allen has left. Josh Allen's 28, right? 29 now, I think he's going to be this year, whatever his age is there. sign. Now, his extension goes one more year beyond, but I don't think that matters to this point I'm making, which is they have identified these specific players and said all of them are here for another 5 years, and that is exactly when we believe we have Josh Allen locked up. Like, we have Josh Allen in his prime to win a Super Bowl.
You know, Sal, how do you weigh, like, I think this is such an interesting argument. People talking about, who might take Ashton Genty, right, the running back from Boise State, and, should a team like the Raiders, who now took care of their quarterback situation, now they might be that running back away from really being good. And I think you look at the Eagles, right, they make the move for Saquon Barkley, it gets them over the hump, they win a Super Bowl. How do you weigh the timing of when it might actually be appropriate? Like, I don't think anyone's arguing the Patriots are a running back away, so they should go and pay that running back, or the Dolphins, they should just go pay that running back. That's going to be the thing that gets them over the hump. When the Bills have that guy in house already that they haven't paid and they've maximized the value of, how do you look at it in a situation where next year, if he's kind of walks or they have to franchise tag him, like, wouldn't you kind of view the Bills as a team that could pay a running back?
I mean, I think that's very subjective, Nate. I think I would ask you a question, though. Do the Bills think that they are getting over the hump back? I think the answer to that is no. They have Josh Allen. I think that the past results don't indicate future behavior necessarily, but I think the Bills have a pretty good body of work of past results on how they view this position. You had to bring up a great point earlier. The Bills have never paid you said it, Nate. You said this earlier, that the Bills have never paid a running back on a second contract. They've never done it. They've also never spent a first-round pick. Now, they've spent draft capital, including James Cook, a second-round pick. There's no doubt. They believe it's important to have that position. I think the Bills have operated of a sense of, we don't pay running backs that. What's the quote from Joe Shane that got him in trouble, actually, during Hard Knocks? I'm not paying a quarterback $40 million a year to turn around and hand off, right? I mean, listen, that's to me what the Bills' philosophy has been, and that's what they're doing. So I think the answer to your question is, I don't think there is a time for the Bills to say we need to pay a running back to get over the hump. But paying is subjective. What is paying in the case of James Cook? If he wants $15 million a year, I mean, that's pretty elite money for a running back. I don't think the Bills have any issue with paying James Cook, giving him a raise. I think it's how much of a raise the issue is.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Sal, because sometimes I feel like we talk about this like it's a binary. They want him, they don't want him. The Bills, of course, have a number they'd be thrilled to have him back at, and there's probably a middle that they might be reluctant to move to but would get to. But, sometimes a player is too stubborn or a team is too stubborn, and these relationships ultimately fracture. From Beane to McDermott, we heard from the head coaches yesterday, GMs as well. I want to get to your conversation with Pete Gwelly as well. But from McDermott, a lot of the story about coaching right now, or coaches, is about the tush push, where there seems to be some momentum that this thing could make it out of the competition committee and could make it all the way to a full vote in the NFL.
Yeah, it's really interesting, the tush push, because, especially from McDermott, it's really interesting on this because he's clearly been anti, right? He's talked about the danger, the risk of injury, but yet his team is so good at it. And you would think, man, you'd be the guy that would want to have this. Now, he has never, I think one time this offseason, he's actually come out and kind of said like that. Like, he's never fully said, we're voting against it. That's never happened. But anytime it's brought up, including yesterday, he will get to health and safety, and that's a play that I want to see more data on it with the injury rate and things like that. I hear just from that Sean McDermott wants to vote against the tush push, and to vote to ban it. But he never comes out and fully says that to us because I think to him, he wants to respect the competition committee, and these things have happened before with certain votes. But you're right. This is a really interesting vote that's going to be happening here over the next probably 24 hours or so.
Sal Capaccio joining us from West Palm Beach, live from West Palm, as NFL owners' meetings are going on. This is this time of year. Be down there for a couple days. We had our coach's picture, which was inside as well, and that's exciting. We got to look at everybody's shoes and shirts, and Andy Reid wearing his Hawaiian shirt. But Sal, furthermore to that point, the idea of the tush push and where things are headed. The league is often tweaking things. The kickoff is getting more, permanent status. I always feel it's kind of funny here. Things are permanent now because they could just change it the next year if they really wanted to. But what's the other big conversation out of the coaches this week at owners' meetings?
From the coaches, I think it's more on, player safety, things like that, but that's kickoff, right? The kickoff is part of this. I think the other rule is, kickoff and kickoff returns. So we'll see. And I think we're looking at, there's been some momentum. And I said this probably the last few weeks, guys, even though it wasn't on the original docket, it is now. I mean, there's been, from what I was told at the combine by several different people, there was already a lot of momentum to get that touchback to the 35-yard line because they want to increase returns and they want to still maintain the player safety and all that. An alignment, nothing big, but they're going to do that too. But that's a pretty much a big deal with the coaches. And then, of course, there's the rules as far as illegal contact and defensive. That should be automatic first down. Brandon Beane told me yesterday. He does not believe it should be eliminated. He believes that it should stay on, which are automatic first down for those penalties based on unintended consequences. For example, he said a team on a 3rd and 5 could just tell their guys to hold, basically. If you're getting beat, just hold. So you want to eliminate something like that.
Yeah. You also had a chance to speak with Pete Gwelly, Bills and Sabres COO. We've seen some clips. We've got a big day coming up at the end of this week, the top-up ceremony, the last piece of steel in the stadium. Where can people find your conversation with Pete Gwelly, and what did you guys get into?
I just lost you for 1 second, Jeremy. Can you repeat that question?
Asking where people can find your one-on-one with Pete Gwelly, and what did you guys ultimately get into?
WGR550.com. The entire transcript of my interview with Pete Gwelly is up, and we got into everything. What do you want to talk about? We talked about the stadium, PSL sales. We talked about events coming to the stadium. We talked about KeyBank Center, what that looks like, development around KeyBank Center, what the vision is for that. But, I mean, there's a ton of stuff that Pete Gwelly and I talked about, COO of both the Sabres and the Bills. Let's start with PSL and sales.
Okay, yeah.
He said 70% of the lower bowl is sold. He said all of the premium seats are sold. The seats are basically, the suites are pretty much, I think he said it was his words, sold out at this point. He said they are on track, he believes, to have everything done and sold out by the time the stadium opens. If you are a season ticket holder and you haven't been through the stadium experience, that is what they're doing now, and you will be at some time soon here in the next couple of months, I believe, he said. So that's the selling part. The construction, like you said, April 4th is the day that the last piece of steel will go in. After that, it's all about everything but the steel and working inside the stadium and all the other things that go into making a big gigantic stadium. That's going to be happening. He said the opening is scheduled really for July of 26, and they don't want to walk in cold for a Bills game, so they're going to have to put an event or two in there, before that, which sparked some interesting stuff on social media from people wondering, well, what event could they have? I talked to them about lacrosse, about soccer, all those things are on the table, concerts, everything is on the table. But obviously they want to bring major events, but that is one of the things that they'll do is probably have a couple of different things before the Bills season in 26.
Media flag football. Let's have it. Let's go. Right? Why not?
Yeah.
Potential options there. Like maybe there's college football, whatever. You mentioned lacrosse, college. I mean, anything really. You could throw anything for some dry runs of what's going to go in there. So you mentioned PSLs. How about we've talked a lot about uniforms or the next couple phases for the Bills. They're going to say goodbye to their current stadium and go into the next stadium. And to me, that looks like the start of a new era. And I wonder what else they will do as part of that to mark that major transition.
Yeah, so uniform-wise, obviously you guys know it's a big buzzword. 2 words, third uniform, right? Alternate uniform.
Red
Whenever
helmets,
we talk about that,
2 words,
you know that Pete's been... Yeah. Well, once again, we asked Pete, and you talked with Pete about this, Jeremy, at training camp, where he was at the forefront of designing the Giants' 100th year anniversary uniforms. He was in the NBA and at the forefront of a lot of the new uniforms. He's very passionate about the uniform conversation. But I will tell you, he said this year will be more about commemorating the final stadium, the final year in the stadium. They're really more focused on what's happening this year at Highmark, and they want to commemorate the moments. They want to commemorate the games and have the special, players and moments that happen in that stadium. So I don't think uniforms are necessarily on the front burner, but he did say that they'll be looking at combinations this year and how that resonates with fans, throughout the year. I wouldn't expect anything new. Maybe a standing buffalo. I'm saying that basing on, yes, I think they could do that because it's the final year of the stadium. But he did say that they do have things planned that he doesn't want to talk about and he can't disclose right now for the first year of the new stadium when it comes to that. So I know a lot of people are still upset. They're not going to get new uniforms, third uniforms, alternate uniforms this year. I mean, they want to focus on what's happening inside this stadium for the old before they usher in the new base. And basically,
two events that I think they pretty much said they would like to get them in the new stadium. The draft upcoming some next 2-3 years, and also the return of the Winter Classic. Winter Classic.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, just the draft and the Winter Classic are two official events.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that. It's a lot going on here. Everybody's pulling in. Guys, you've never been anywhere you've seen more black SUVs with people getting out of your life. I just want to tell you that right now. All right. So the draft, Pete Gwelly told me that he is in contact with the league on a constant basis to bring the draft to Buffalo. They are sending a group to Green Bay to see how they're doing it. Small market, obviously very similar there. They want to see how they do it. He said they have petitioned and they've asked basically for 2028 or 2029. He added, don't rule out 2028, but he thinks 2029 is more likely because of just all the work they have to do on it and the direction they're headed right now. So I think that's the target right now is 2029, but don't rule out 2028 for the draft. He said, the tone I got from him was, I think this is very much like something that could very well happen for Buffalo over the next few years, which is pretty cool. And then, the other one is the Winter Classic. Now, what's interesting about that is he said, the Winter Classic, you're really kind of a little bit more at the whim of the Bills' schedule, and you can't really predict that. So, yes, they would love a Winter Classic. He even brought up the 20th anniversary of the first Winter Classic, 2008, which would be 2028, returning to Buffalo. However, because you can't necessarily predict with the Bills' schedule, he said maybe a stadium series could happen in lieu of that. Right. So one of those two things, and I basically asked him, what are the chances? And he said, excellent. He thinks that this is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, when you say stadium series, I almost feel like the two phrases are interchangeable. I guess the Winter Classic is only the New Year's Eve-ish one, and the rest are just like throw it in mid-February. You can go ahead and book that because the Bills are not going to be home in mid-February. So, okay, makes sense. No,
that's right.
All right.
Yeah, and then obviously you have all of that. And, KeyBank Center as well, guys. KeyBank Center is also a really big, topic of discussion for things happening around there. Around the arena. Pete Gwelly is very passionate about what's happening downtown and believes that KeyBank Center is really a big destination point for people to come to downtown, give them a reason to come to downtown. Obviously, the Sabres and the Bandits and college basketball and everything that happens in that arena is what drives it. They really want to help be a part of, even more of a catalyst to building up around that arena. And he said there's a lot of things going on that he can't talk about that, he sees in the future, but also inside the arena. One of the interesting quotes to me, I asked about the NCAA tournament coming to Buffalo next year, which it is, by the way, for the first couple rounds. He said they want to make Buffalo a college basketball destination. They've had discussions with local teams, regional teams. They want to have national events. So that's really interesting. But that stuff was talked about. And then inside the arena, I said, okay, Jumbotron and roof last year. He said every year they're going to do some things, but obviously, again, things that necessarily he's not being specific about right now. But he said, yes, every year they're going to do some things and they keep upgrading because they really believe in that arena and what it can be for downtown. Same thing with the new stadium coming. The area around the new stadium, that's all still on the table. The Bills have bought some property there. We know that. They own some of the property there. They're still going to be looking at, what could be done around the stadium and, to draw people there even on days necessarily when you're not having a Buffalo Bills game.
Yeah. All right. You can find the full transcript at our website, WGR550.com. Sal, what's on the docket for today at owners' meetings?
Okay, guys, well, I'm about to walk into what we call the AFC Coaches Breakfast. So you walk in here, and there's a table for every AFC coach, and you walk around and you talk to those coaches. Now, Sean McDermott saw that we were all here yesterday, Buffalo Media, so he met with us. He's still going to do this today, but we got most of our stuff yesterday, but I'll still pop over with him as well, obviously. But I think he today is going to do more stuff with some national or other, other local reporters. So you tell me, guys, what would you like? I'm gonna put this on you guys. All right. Give me a task, all right? Let's do it. Put Sal to work, all right?
Yeah.
I'm going to walk into this AFC Coaches Breakfast. You tell me which coach I need to go up to and what I need to ask him.
I got two answers. One,
okay,
Liam Cohen, Jacksonville, because he seems like he might be a little interesting. And
Okay.
and past that, my first reaction was to go hang out with Vrabel. Like Mike Vrabel's back.
I saw him yesterday walk by me. It was one of those deals where we made eye contact, and he had just shaken someone's hand, and we were going to shake each other's hand. I was going to say hello, but I was kind of like, all right, I didn't want to interrupt him. He seemed like he was, in the middle. I think he actually was on a phone call. He was doing it. That's why I didn't do it. But I did talk to Sean Payton a little bit yesterday. He is a super high energetic guy. We were talking about the playoff game actually, and the fake punt and all that. It was really interesting. This is a great spot for that. And a lot of the coaches, the executives, they bring their wives here and their families, and they kind of they hang around. They walk around the breakers, during the day, and when you're around, you see them, you can just start talking to them about a bunch of things. What do you want me to ask Liam Cohen?
Maybe give him a second try at Duval. I
don't think that's for me to do in this setting.
How about? Is there another level? I mean, whatever. There's a million. You don't have to do this. It's fine. I wonder what he can do with Trevor Lawrence. Like he did great things for Baker Mayfield. I think Liam Cohen's a sharp offensive mind, and they have a lot of pieces there in Jacksonville. I mean, feels like Trevor Lawrence is a guy that is, whether he's unfairly criticized. I don't think it's unfair. I'm just waiting to see what this. He was supposed to be generational. He's supposed to be like the perfect prospect, and it just doesn't feel like it's come together.
I also wonder too how busy Mike Tomlin's table is going to be because Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, actually, Tomlin went yesterday when McDermott went with the Pittsburgh media.
Oh, okay.
And there was a lot. You guys can find that. There's a lot been written about Tomlin, what he said yesterday about Aaron Rodgers, and he was asked a lot of questions. So good point there, Nate. It was him. Who did I see yesterday? Actually, Andrew Berry, the GM for the Browns, he was going too. So a few of the guys went early yesterday. One thing I like to do, and I'm going to do when I pop my head in here in a minute, guys, is I like to go to the coaches who the Bills just signed a player from. So in this case, the Chargers, Joshua Palmer, and I'll ask Jim Harbaugh, what about his game, what the Bills are getting in Joshua Palmer. So that's something I like to do when I talk to some of these coaches. But there's always some interesting things that wind up coming out of these.
All right. Enjoy it, and grab a waffle for us.
All right, guys, thanks.
Sal Capaccio live from West Palm Beach. Coverage of NFL owners meetings brought to you by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. Visit windownation.com. We'll talk to them again tomorrow. We think it's going to have to be early. We're on the NFL owners' schedules. They're early risers. I mean, they're up already having breakfast. Probably a lot of golf to play. It's some really nice courses while you're down there. 803-0550, Jeremy and Joe. Nate's in for Joe today. When we get back, I've had instant trivia. I've been waiting to bust out for a week. Good trivia, but more so, it's about something you think is right about the NFL draft that is not.
NFL owners meetings getting underway today in Florida. Over the weekend, the Bills signed cornerback Christian Benford to a 4-year, $76 million extension. Also over the weekend, Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane both met with the media down in Florida. You can hear both of what they had to say on demand on our website, WGR550.com, and check the latest news for the Bills from our own Sal Capaccio on the website as well. Sabres get back in the win column yesterday, beating the Washington Capitals 8-5. Alex Tuch and Tage Thompson both scored twice, while Peyton Krebs, Sam Lafferty, Jack Quinn, and Ryan McLeod all added goals as well. And Alex Ovechkin adds a goal in that game as well, putting at .890 for his career total, pulling him to within 5 goals of breaking Wayne Gretzky's record. With the owner meetings about to get underway, one of the main topics of discussion this year will be the Tush Push once again. This is the 3rd year in a row the competition committee has discussed the elimination of the play, but it's the first time that a team has openly called for its removal after the Green Bay Packers put in a proposal to change the play. All 32 teams in the league will vote on this proposal as well as all of the other rule proposals tomorrow. And the Final Four of the NCAA men's basketball tournament is set. For the first time since 2008 and only the second time in its history, all 4 1 seeds have made it to the Final Four. On Saturday, April 5th, Auburn will take on Florida at 6 o'clock, and Duke will tip off against Houston at 8:50. Coverage of the NCAA championship will on WGR and the Bet 1520 is brought to you by Window Nation. For all your window needs, visit windownation.com. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet sports headlines. Paddock Chevrolet, celebrating 90 years of business.
Peyton Krebs will feed it back down towards Benson. At the line, Samuelson with a shot, scores! Matthias Samuelson from the blue line wrists that one towards the net, and Logan Thompson can only watch the net move behind him, and it's the Buffalo Sabres up 7-5, and Alex Tuch going down the line first.
One of Alex Tuch's goals from last night, the Sabres beat the Capitals 8-5. The Firth moment of the game. Firth moments of the game brought to you by Firth Jewelers. For the moments in your life, go forth to Firth. Good morning, Jeremy and Nate. Happy Monday. A rainy Monday. NFL owner meetings are underway. AFC coaches breakfast today. Sal's heading into the coaches breakfast. He had some questions for us, like who should he talk to? What should he ask? In the chat on YouTube, the question has been asked, would I eat a small plate of eggs if it let me into the AFC coaches breakfast? And the answer to that is a firm no. Sorry.
Just like scrambled?
I just don't like eggs.
You're not an eggs guy.
I'm not against them.
Okay.
Is there anything that you will do to eat a plate of eggs? Like, is there what's the limit here?
Well, there's different.
Playing Augusta?
It depends on the eggs. Like a hard-boiled egg, I probably couldn't do it. But if you like scrambled eggs, I could probably get them down. I just don't like
Dose them with ketchup or something.
Sure. Okay. Doesn't.
That's interesting.
And he's like, hey, you want to go sit with Mike Tomlin and eat a plate of eggs? Nah, I'm fine. I'll just do something else.
It's easy protein, man. It's easy protein.
Sure. Let's do something else. Again, not against them. I'm not mad at you if you like them.
I'm about to dig into a plate of eggs.
It's great. I don't think you're weird. I'm not one of these guys who are like, oh man, that's the grossest stuff. I don't like them. Sorry. I wish I did. And then the chat, of course, got into a conversation about how heavy ostrich eggs are. That's how things go in the chat on YouTube. If you want to be a part of it, you can do that. You can do that, or you can call us at 803-0550 about James Cook and kind of ask, like, what's the best case scenario with Cook? Brandon Beane not only saying that they had a conversation, don't appear to be close, there's no reason we can't talk about something next year. The fact that he used the words next year doesn't have to mean that that's true. That, to me, is negotiating in the media. We say, oh, we don't like to negotiate in the media. But while we're at it,
here's some negotiating
in the media. Yeah. One other thing that I saw from Beane yesterday, and we don't have to get the clip. His clip about Keon Coleman. He's asked about Keon Coleman. And you have this one, Josh? Or we go grab it for later. He said, I'm not concerned about Keon Coleman. And there's a funny thing that happened here along the way. So Beane's quote, we have all the confidence that Keon gets it and want to remind everyone he's only 21. Playing receiver is hard. I'm not sitting here today concerned about where Coleman is at. He knows what's expected of him. Okay. That's kind of funny because Beane answering a question about whether or not he's concern about Keon Coleman is very much like sorry if it's a little too on the nose and you haven't seen the show, it's the I think you should leave skit where the guy in the hot dog costume is saying, like, we're all trying to figure out who did this. Buddy, you're the guy that expressed concern about Keon Coleman.
Right.
So
not that long ago.
To say, like, what? No, I'm not concerned about Keon Coleman. Well, you wouldn't be asked it if you didn't make the decision to tell everybody that you were kind of concerned about the way that he finished the season.
That's right.
So that's all. You didn't have to be
That's
long.
right.
We didn't. Did anyone think the Bills were disappointed in Coleman until they said it?
Yeah, no.
You might have been disappointed in him. They made the choice to make public comments repeatedly about it, and then I have all the confidence in the world. He's only 21, guys. Like, okay. You did bring it up. Anyway, are you ready for trivia?
I've been ready.
Got some trivia for you. It's draft trivia.
Love
And
draft trivia.
It basically, I saw this and I loved it because it's a trivia question, but it also makes a point. So, Nate, what do you think people will say about the idea that the Titans or the Browns or the Giants, why would they draft a quarterback at the top of the draft? Because if you do that, if you draft a quarterback, as a coach, it kind of resets your clock.
A little bit,
You're not going to get fired. In the last 11 years, 11 quarterbacks that have been drafted in the top 3 have had their coach fired the next year. It averages 1 a year.
Wow.
For a top 3 quarterback to get their coach fired the next year. I'm looking for the last 6. The last 6 quarterbacks drafted top 3 where the coach was fired or was gone by the next season. That's your challenge, should you choose to accept it. Josh, Owen, you guys can... Well, Owen has the answer, so he can't guess.
I accept this challenge.
Okay.
I like to start with Bryce Young.
Correct. 2023, Bryce Young, first overall. Coach fired the
Is
next
that the
year.
most recent?
No.
Okay. So Bryce Young's one. Not Baker.
Baker is correct in
Baker is correct.
2018. Baker Mayfield.
Oh, that's right. Freddie Kitchens.
Baker Mayfield. Remember, if you draft a quarterback, you extend your life. Maybe not.
Sam Darnold.
Correct. 2018.
So we've got half down. We got 3 to go.
3 to go. Of the last 6. Yes.
Trying to think of some quarterbacks
Top
here.
3. Just drafted in the top 3. That's all it is.
Zach Wilson?
Zach Wilson is not correct.
Justin Herbert.
Not correct.
Oh, he's outside of it.
He was outside.
Justin Fields?
Not correct. Not top 3.
Mitch Trubisky.
right.
Mitch Trubisky is correct, but that's too far back. Not
wow.
one of the
ago.
most recent. Not one of the 6 last quarterbacks to be drafted top 3 and then their coach fired the next year.
Kyler Murray.
Not correct. You want a little hint? 2 got drafted last year.
Wow. Who got drafted last year?
Drake May.
Drake May.
Oh, he was 3.
He was 3rd. Head coach fired. Offensive coordinator fired.
Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams. Head
So we
coach
have
fired.
1 left. This is going to be
Caleb
tough.
Williams, Drake May, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. You're missing 1. Yep. First overall. His coach was a buffoon.
I mean, that could
Trevor
be.
Lawrence?
Yes, Trevor
I
Lawrence.
was just going to. Okay.
Trevor Lawrence. The next hint
By the
was
way,
the coach won a game, and
The coach being a buffoon was not a good hint. In fact, that just widened my scope, to be quite honest.
if you go back further, Goff,
Yeah, I knew Goff.
Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, Blake Bortles. 11 in the last 11 years. Average 1 a year.
There's going to be another one this year.
Oh, you drafted a quarterback high? Congratulations. You're still fired. Is that a point about the impatient NFL? An owner or GM? Hey, I'm glad you drafted our franchise, but it didn't go fast enough for us? We don't like... All the more reason you should probably fire the coach before you do this.
Allowing the coach to be a part of the decision on a quarterback and then firing him the next year and having a new coach come in and decide whether or not they actually like that quarterback or not is...
It's tough.
Yeah.
Put some of those quarterbacks in tough spots. So anyway, I like that trivia. Good enough work. You did well. You did all right. Jeremy and Nate needs in for Joe. We'll check in with Paul Hamilton in a little bit. Talk about the Sabres and their win against Washington and the annual spring rituals of the Sabres. winning some games late, claiming it's about learning how to win right now and momentum for the next season. That's happening.
If you hit your head, you didn't just wake up. This is it again.
It's a rite of spring. 803-0550. We'll get a break in. 803-0550 is our number. Give us a call on James Cook, on the Benford extension, and if you want to throw a thought on the Sabres, it's more than welcome, or all the 1 seeds in the tournament as well. We also should get to the Yankees bats. The Yankees invented new bats, and they're fine. And it's one of the weirder stories, but hey, they smashed 1 million home runs. 803-0550, Jeremy and Joe on WGR. Join us in the fight against cancer by riding with Bulldog and WGR's Ride for Roswell team. You'll receive an email to pick up your team t-shirt, water bottle, at Tom's Pro Bikes on Walden Ave in Lancaster. Not a rider, you can still support the cause by donating to our team, helping us reach our goal. Visit WGR550.com for details. June 28th for the Ride for Roswell. We did it a couple years ago. I rode 45 miles with Bulldog and a couple other people on the team. Was that last year? 2 years ago. I don't remember. I do the Ride for Roswell when I don't do... Well, I'm sorry. I do the Ride for Roswell when it doesn't come 2 days after the 100 holes of golf.
Yeah, it's
pretty much the
a tough
standard
combo.
Yeah.
To do back-to-back.
The walking of 100 holes of golf, as long as the Ride for Roswell's not 2 days later. And you know what? I still might do, like an easy family ride. I probably will. The Ride for Roswell is an amazing event. It's so fun. It's great. Great vibe. It's always good getting out, getting outside, getting active. So join the WGR Ride for Roswell team and Bulldogs team. Do that. Jeremy and Nate, good morning. Happy Monday, March 31st. Tomorrow's April 1st.
Yeah.
I had a...
Does it feel like it?
I had a not an April Fool's joke, but kind of like I was going to tweet something out, and I thought it was April Fool's. But all I was going to say is starting tomorrow, WGR, we have a big announcement. I'm not getting in trouble from corporate for telling people going to know this is a joke, so whatever. Take a breath. Starting tomorrow, every 6 minutes, we will have Gene Steratore interrupt us to talk about something. Starting tomorrow. Because that's what you do in a big sporting event. If you have a big sporting event, you better have Gene Steratore talking every 6 minutes, or you are not to be taken seriously. I, for one, am glad that the country is coming around to why is this guy all over my television more than any